You're watching Resource Intelligence. We're live at the PDAC, and my guest right now is Gary Parkinson, who is the project manager and the qualified person, or QP, on the Metates project for Chesapeake. Welcome to Live at the PDAC.
Great, thank you.
So, your Metates project is getting a lot of investor interest, but this is a huge project, I think much bigger than most investors can possibly realize. And we'll come back to this, but I want to say straight off the top, this would be, in production, the 5th biggest gold producer, the 5th biggest silver producer in the world.
Correct.
You've been on this project since long before it was Chesapeake. You've been on it since it was first drilled.
Yeah, I first came on the project in 1992. At that time, Cambior acquired the project.
That's
and
right.
Basically was a project manager advancing the project at that time through a pre-feasibility study, which was finalized in 1997. So.
Okay, and we look at you there since the get-go. We look at Randy Rafel, the CEO of the company, and Randy's last project sold for close to $400 million, and he's done that on multiple occasions. So I guess what you're looking to do is something really huge here that could be vended off and show massive upside for investors.
Correct. That's exactly right. Randy has a proven track record in that sense. This would be his third project that he would basically advance for sale, and this is by far the biggest project he's ever undertaken. But
let's talk about that. How big is it?
It's well, clearly one of the largest gold and silver resources that's still undeveloped left in the world. Total measured and indicated gold is about 17 million ounces of gold, about 463 million ounces of silver. If we add in the inferred, convert everything to gold equivalent resource, we're talking somewhere about 28 million ounces of gold equivalent.
Wow. And I think Randy had mentioned to me earlier as well, there's a significant potential for upside here. I think it was possibly 20% growth in the resource.
Yeah, and while 20% might not sound like a whole lot to most groups, you have to realize we're starting off at a very high level there, so we're talking maybe adding another 6 million ounces.
Yeah, that's a lot bigger than most of the projects out there today, right? Yeah. Okay, we've talked a bit about the size. How does that translate into cash flows, would you say?
Cash flows would be substantial. Right now we're looking at upping the actual production rate from a 90,000 ton a day case, which was defined last year in a PEA, up to 120,000 tons per day. And at that 120,000 tons per day, we would be putting out around, in terms of gold equivalent, about 1.15 million ounces per year for 20 years on average. That net cash flow comes in at around $600 million per year on average. So this thing is really a cash mind-blowing machine, right?
But it can put out a lot of cash, but it's going to cost a lot to start it off in the capital side. What would it cost potentially, and what are you doing to improve that?
The basis for the PEA, which came out last year, was a 90,000 ton a day rate, as I said, and at that, the capital cost was about $3.2 billion.
Okay.
What we have done more recently is evaluate increasing the production rate, as I said, to 120,000 tons per day, but at the same time outsourcing two major capital cost components. That would be the dedicated power plant that allows us to get very low electric power costs, and an oxygen plant. We haven't talked much about the metallurgy yet, but an oxygen plant is a big component of this pressure oxidation plant, which is really a key for making the Metates ore body work. If we outsource those two components, even though we upscale the rate from 90 to 120,000 tons, we're basically back where we started, about $3.2 billion capital cost.
What I like that you've been able to do with this project, and perhaps the previous operators hadn't considered, maybe you know this, but you're able to use the landscape, which in some cases people may have thought as an impediment, to your advantage. Gravity in terms of piping the slurry down to more suitable land below, using the valleys in there for your tailings and so on. How far does that go to improving the economics of the project?
It was certainly a significant breakthrough for us when we sort of redesigned the processing flow sheet to take advantage, as you say, of the natural topography. The biggest breakthrough there was probably the identification of a large limestone resource some distance off to the west and downhill from where the mine site is. So how the project is configured now is we have the Metates mine site, and the tailings and the waste rock dumps are all sited there and natural to topographic drainage is there. But again, as part of the processing, we need to have access to a large limestone resource. We located one of those resources downstream, or downhill, actually downstream as well, about 100 kilometers away. And we have a concentrate pipeline that basically takes the ground material from the Metates mine site downstream, downhill, to this more suitable facility where the limestone is.
Great.
And the rest of the processing happens there. So it's really sort of a two-phase approach here.
So the limestone is used to neutralize the acid.
The acid that comes off of this pressure oxidation step, which is really the key to unlocking the value of the gold and silver.
So, and how important is that? Because what you end up with are cash costs of about $350, $60 per ounce, including your zinc credits, and you've got a huge zinc resource tied in here as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, we don't really talk too much about the zinc, but the zinc is there. It's basically recoverable at very, very low cost.
Yeah.
And it gives us about a savings is applied to a credit on our cash cost for the gold and silver of about $50 an ounce.
Wow.
We actually think we could improve on that with some work we're undertaking now, but that's where it is now.
So just to recap then, you got about 20 million ounces of gold.
Right.
And silver, what is that?
Silver would be about 525 million ounces.
And then 3 billion plus pounds of zinc. And people don't really give you much credit for that, I think.
Right.
But that goes a long way to reducing those capital costs.
The operating costs, correct.
The operating costs, that's right. So what's next? What milestones does Chesapeake have to go through to show investors this is going to happen?
We're preparing an updated PEA now.
Yeah.
We'll probably be releasing the results of that next day or two. That basically would flesh out this 120,000 ton a day case, the impact of outsourcing some of those capital costs that we've talked about. Going forward, we started a drilling program there last week, both to do this resource expansion, but also to convert inferred tons to indicated tons.
Important, yeah.
And so that way we can take advantage of the entire resource base as we move forward to a preliminary feasibility study, which is slated for completion later on this year. Let's say November, December timeframe.
You got your milestone set out ahead of you?
Yeah, I think we do, and it will be de-risking the project along the way. That's a critical area for us, so we'll be doing more extensive pressure oxidation test work, more flotation test work, in general more metallurgical testing, as well as the drilling, re-engineering a few aspects in an attempt to continue to lower our operating costs as well as the capital costs.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing what happens next at Metates. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's Gary Parkinson from Chesapeake Gold. Chesapeake Gold trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol CKG.